Hi guys, welcome back to Barrovain Made. Today we are going to be making a set of coasters to give away for a Christmas present out of some scrap pieces of oak that we got. If you're a regular on the channel, you'll know that we take free bits of oak furniture from Facebook Marketplace, strip them down to use them for other projects, and when we strip down those things, there are small bits of oak that we can't use to build other tables, so we put them aside for dovetail joints and not dovetail joints. What the hell am I on about? Like bow ties, that's what I'm trying to say. For things like bow ties and other little small projects and stuff. I have a bunch of these pieces. I can't remember exactly, but I think these were just like corner pieces where we had bits slotted in between them and stuff. But these are nice solid oak. Today we're going to be making a set of oak coasters, oak end grain coasters for to give away on Christmas. They're doing a little series here on the channel, Christmas calendar, all the way from the 1st of November all the way to the 25th. So stay tuned to the channel if you want to see nice small little projects all the way up until Christmas, nice little DIY projects to give away to the family. This is one of them. Let's quit talking. Let's get into cutting this stock up and making these coasters.
So the first thing we're going to do is pull out the surface planer on our nifty little wheelie thing that I made. I'll link the video up in the corner if you want to go and check it out. But what we're doing is we're just going to quickly surface plane these to make sure they're all the same all the same height, and just to take all of that nasty old varnish off that we got from our old furniture stripping. Then we're going to grab our table saw, we're going to cut all of the little rabbits and stuff off of this and make them into nice square blocks of wood, so we can then come back and cut them into a square shape, make sure they're all the consistent same size. Am I Englishing right? I hope you guys can understand what I'm saying. My brain's running a little bit slow today while I'm doing this voiceover, but we're cutting all of these down to the same size, getting them to like these little cubes that we can glue up in strips of 5, because what we are then going to do is take those glued up strips of 5, run them back through the surface planer, fold them back on themselves to make a sort of big block, if that makes any sense. You'll see this coming up in a minute anyway, but we went ahead, we glued all of these up. I ended up using a few more little bits of oak I had laying around, but we got it all done in the end, and I actually ended up making another 5 strips of these. So yeah, I did that off camera though because you've already seen all this, but yeah. We got them out of the clamps 24 hours later after everything was dry, and then we took them all over to the surface planer. Oh, this part was really satisfying actually, all the little droplets that landed on my table. I came around with a chisel and popped them all off. That's one of the things I like doing. But yeah, just to make the surface planer's life a little bit easier as well. Not really necessary to do this, but I went around with a dull chisel and just popped off all the little glue nipples that come when the glue's dripping off of them. It just prolongs the life of your blades. It makes the surface planer work a little less hard when surface planing bits of wood. But yeah. Anyway, ran them through the surface planer to get another 2 clean surfaces so we can go ahead and glue these back up into one block, just like we were saying before. And yeah. And again, probably using a little bit too much glue here. Some reason I have some like trust issues with glue. I've never had a bad glue joint. I've always just thought, yeah, I'll put in lots of glue, and then, you know, whatever the glue joint doesn't need will squeeze out and I can clean it up. But I watch a lot of videos, woodworking videos. People put on barely any glue and it looks good as well. So definitely don't take my habits and do them. I personally just do this because I think, more glue than usual can't hurt. Only thing that's going to hurt is the bank account. So glue up however you want to glue up. I just like to add a little bit more glue just to make sure there's enough in there. It's nice and uniform and we'll have a solid joint. And make sure as well, this looks like it's glued up properly and fine, but make sure when doing things like this that you clamp it evenly from all directions, because you will end up with a very, very slight taper. And as long as you glue it up from all the same directions, you can keep things simple and just carry on using the surface planer and it'll come out nice and square. Whether as if you just clamped it on one side, it would sort of have a slight taper to it, so then when you run it through the surface planer, you'd end up with a sort of rhombus shape where it's all outer square. Probably doesn't matter too much for coasters, but it's nice to keep things nice and square in the workshop. So Didn't have any issues here when I was running it through the surface planer, and we were checking for squareness as we were going. As you can see, I've got my square up on the top of the surface planer there. Probably not a great place to have a bit of metal when there's a spinning blade just under it. It's a great way to have a tool flinged across the workshop, but you know me on this channel, I'm stupid. Don't be me, don't be stupid. That should be part of the Barrovain Made branding. But yeah, we're going through and we're just squaring everything up, checking it as it go, and it came out perfectly square. Everything was nice. All we had to do now is a little bit of sanding, and I like to do the sanding here beforehand before cutting out all of the coasters, just because instead of painstakingly sanding the sides of like 19 coasters or however many we're going to get out of this block, I can just do it all in one, and then I can go ahead and cut it all out, and I don't have to worry about the sides because they're already sanded. I only have to worry about the face and stuff. But anyway, I'm using a massive sledgehammer head here as a stop. I like to use a bit of heavy metal because then it doesn't move and stuff, but that's a little bit of a lie there, because some point through doing all of this, something moved and all of my coasters weren't uniformly the same size. But we cut out loads of coasters, more coasters than I'm going to give one individual, so I can pair them all up, and the thicker coasters can go in one batch, the thinner coasters can go in another. So maybe you'd want to use a clamp, get a bit of wood, clamp it down to your table saw, so you have a solid surface to butt up against. I thought this block of metal was going to be heavy enough to hold itself in place, but it must have drifted at some point, probably due to the vibrations of the table saw with the blade sticking out so much. But yeah, anyway, what I went ahead and did is I just put a few little screws down onto my table so I could easily butt them up in there and sand them. And the only issue I had when doing all of this was because I have a angle grinder sander attachment that, by the way, it works wonders for sanding things quickly. I don't have to spend as much time sanding things. It burnt the wood quite easily, and once you burn wood, it's quite annoying to get the burn marks out. So off camera, I ended up having to do a lot of hand sanding to get quite a lot of the burn marks out. On some of the pieces, I did leave the burn marks in because the burn marks weren't really like noticeable. It just made it darker in certain places, which in some of the coasters actually looked quite cool. And the majority of the coasters, it just looked like burn marks though, so I just sanded the majority of them out. But some of the coasters were left in there because I thought it looked quite cool and quite unique and give the wood like a darker sort of look to it. Anyway, I'm bloody rambling on here. Let's get back to the project. But yeah, if you're going to do this, use a normal rotary sander, or better yet, invest in a belt sander where you can easily just plop these on, quickly take it up to whatever grit you want to take them up to, and then you can take them back off. But I wanted to get these done quickly, so I ended up using my angle grinder attachment, which ended up taking me more time because I had to go back and do a bunch of hand sanding. But yeah, anyway, these are all the coasters that we got. I'm going to go ahead and just put some hard wax oil on them for now. You probably want to use more hardware and finish than just hard wax oil. I'm actually going to, off camera, put a layer of ceramic coating on all of them. I'm just waiting for the hard wax oil to fully cure and dry off camera and put it over them, just so I don't end up with ring marks and stuff, because coasters are meant to use to protect tables and stuff from ring marks. So you want to make sure your coasters are just as hard wearing. So I've had brilliant results with using a ceramic coating on coasters in the past, so I really recommend it. But for the purpose of this video, because I didn't have any on hand, I just used hard wax oil just to show you what the grain looks like when it's all popped and nice. And if you are going to use hard wax oil, I probably recommend you don't splash it around like I did here. They went absolutely everywhere. But yeah, I'm just laying out all the coasters here, trying to find the best sides to show the camera. But here are all the coasters. I think they came up very nice. I don't really like how small the individual blocks are. I mean, they do look nice. They do look very unique. I really do like these coasters, as you can see here. But it sort of looks like, what's the pattern I'm thinking of? I don't know. It just looks a bit mudded, if you know what I mean. Like, if you think about pixels on a screen, these blocks are so small and there's so many of them put together. It sort of blurs the overall look of it, but I do still think these look nice, and there is a great little stocking filler. So have fun with these guys, and I'll see you in the next one.